This entire mess, the tangled hose, the missing gardening gloves, the seed packets hiding at the bottom of a drawer, and that one trowel you swear you just had yesterday, can be fixed without buying an expensive storage system or turning your patio into a hardware store. I found 10 ridiculously simple Dollar Tree organization hacks that can transform even the tiniest gardening space into something that actually works, and we're not talking about buying 20 plastic containers and hoping for the best. These are clever little fixes that use doors, shelves, drawers, walls, and even the awkward spaces you're probably ignoring right now. Whether you're working with a tiny apartment balcony, a little patio, a compact backyard, or just one corner where all your garden supplies somehow end up, you're going to want to see what we do with it. Welcome back to Garden Heaven, and if you've been following our Dollar Tree series, you already know we're not letting that little dollar store aisle off the hook yet. We've already found ways to make our gardens look better for less, and today we're tackling the thing that can make even a beautiful garden feel chaotic, the stuff that comes with gardening. So, before you buy another storage box or let that pile of supplies take over another corner, stay with me, because one of these hacks turns a tiny space into a surprisingly functional garden station, and another one could completely change the way you store your seeds. Hit subscribe if you're enjoying this Dollar Tree series, and let's get straight into hack number 1. Hack number 1, over-the-door garden tool station. If you're running out of floor space, stop looking at the floor, look at your doors. That empty space behind a shed door, patio door, or even an indoor storage room door is basically free storage waiting to happen. Grab a simple over-the-door hanger from Dollar Tree, add a few adhesive hooks or small hooks, and suddenly you've got a dedicated little station for the things you reach for constantly: your gardening gloves, hand trowel, pruning shears, plant ties, and even a small spray bottle. Instead of throwing everything into one giant bucket and then digging through it every time you need something, everything gets its own visible spot. And because you're using vertical space, you're getting storage without sacrificing another inch of your already small patio or balcony. The best part is how little effort this takes. You don't need to drill into the wall, build shelves, or rearrange your entire garden. Just hang it up, add your hooks, and organize the tools you use most often at eye level. It's especially useful for apartment gardeners because that tiny strip of unused door space can hold surprisingly more than you'd expect. One thing to watch though, if you're using metal hooks on an exterior door in a very wet climate, constant rain and humidity can eventually cause rust. A little clear protective spray can help, or simply keep the setup somewhere sheltered. And once you've got your everyday tools under control, there's one thing that's even easier to lose: your seeds. That's exactly what hack number 2 is about. Hack number 2. Spice jar seed storage. If your seed collection currently looks like a tiny paper explosion every time you open the drawer, this hack is going to feel like a miracle. Grab a few small spice jars from Dollar Tree and turn them into your own mini seed library. Instead of keeping dozens of flimsy paper packets stacked on top of each other, transfer your loose seeds into the jars and label each one with the plant variety and the year you bought or saved the seeds. Suddenly you can see everything at a glance. Tomatoes are together, herbs are together, flowers are together, and you don't have to empty an entire drawer just to find 3 cucumber seeds. And there's a practical reason I especially love this one for gardeners living in humid climates. Paper seed packets can absorb moisture, and once moisture gets into your seeds, you've got a much bigger problem than messy storage. These little jars give you a much better barrier against everyday humidity while keeping everything compact and easy to organize. But don't make the mistake of putting your beautiful little seed collection on a sunny windowsill. Direct light and heat aren't what you want for long-term seed storage. Keep the jars somewhere cool, dark, and dry, preferably in a drawer or cabinet. And once your seeds finally have a home, we're moving on to another problem every small space gardener knows way too well: that awkward little gap where nothing seems to fit. Hack number 3 is about to turn that useless space into storage. Hack number 3. Tension rod hanging tool rack. You know that weird little gap inside a cabinet, between 2 shelves, underneath a bench, or inside a closet where a normal shelf simply won't fit? Don't leave it empty. Grab a Dollar Tree tension rod, the same basic kind you'd use for a lightweight curtain, wedge it securely into that narrow space, and add a few S-hooks. Suddenly you've got a hanging rack for your smaller gardening supplies. Your hand trowel can hang from one hook, your pruning shears from another, gardening gloves from another, and you can even hang rolls of twine so they're easy to grab. It's one of those hacks that makes you wonder why you were wasting that space in the first place. And because the tension rod doesn't require drilling, It's especially useful if you're renting or you simply don't want to put holes in your walls. You can remove it, move it somewhere else, or change the arrangement whenever you need to. Just don't turn it into a heavy-duty tool rack. A tension rod is great for lightweight hand tools, but load it up with heavy equipment and it can bow, slide, or come crashing down. Keep the weight reasonable, and make sure it's firmly wedged before hanging anything. And once you've conquered those awkward spaces, we're going even higher, because hack number 4 takes the space underneath your shelves and turns it into hidden storage. Hack number 4. Undershelf mason jar caddy. Here's one of my favorite small space tricks because it uses a spot most people completely ignore: the underside of your shelves. Grab a few small mason jars from Dollar Tree, take the lids, and attach those lids underneath a shelf using screws or another secure mounting method. Once they're firmly in place, simply twist the jars into the lids from below. Now you've created little hanging storage containers that are perfect for all those tiny gardening supplies that somehow end up everywhere. Plant labels, twist ties, spare pieces of twine, clips, small seeds, and other little bits you don't want scattered across your potting station. And visually, this is so much better than throwing all those tiny items into one random container because you can actually see what you've got. The glass jars turn your storage into part of the setup while keeping your work surface completely clear. It's especially clever for a tiny balcony potting station where every bit of counter space matters. Just keep in mind that glass isn't the best choice for an exposed outdoor setup, particularly somewhere that gets freezing temperatures or lots of rough handling. If you're dealing with harsh winters, move this system indoors, or swap the glass jars for lightweight plastic containers. Now that we've cleared the little things off the counter, let's tackle the drawer that somehow became the black hole for every gardening tool you own. Hack number 5. Cutlery tray potting station organizer. If you've got a drawer that's supposed to hold a few gardening supplies but somehow became a chaotic pile of scissors, plant labels, seed packets, twine, and random tools, steal a trick from your kitchen. Grab a basic Dollar Tree plastic cutlery tray and drop it straight into your gardening drawer. Those little compartments are practically perfect for organizing the smaller things you use constantly. One section for hand tools, another for scissors and snips, another for plant labels, and another for seed packets or packets of ties. Suddenly, instead of digging through a pile every time you need something, you know exactly where to reach. And the beauty of this hack is that there's almost nothing to build. You don't need special hardware, you don't need to measure anything, and you can rearrange the compartments whenever your gardening routine changes. It's perfect for an indoor potting station, a covered patio cabinet, or even a small apartment setup where you don't have room for a dedicated gardening bench. Just remember, this is an indoor or sheltered solution. That plastic tray isn't designed to sit outside in rain, and water trapped inside those compartments can turn your beautifully organized drawer into a soggy mess. But if your biggest storage problem isn't tiny tools, it's those half-empty bags of soil and mulch taking over the floor. Hack number 6 is about to give them a proper home. Hack number 6. Stackable soil and mulch storage. If you've ever opened your shed or stepped onto your balcony and found a half-used bag of potting soil slumped in the corner, slowly leaking everywhere, this hack is for you. Instead of letting those bulky bags take up precious floor space, transfer your soil, compost or mulch into sturdy Dollar Tree storage bins with lids. Label the front of each one clearly: potting mix, compost, mulch, seed starting mix, and stack them neatly. Suddenly, what used to look like a messy pile becomes a compact little storage tower that actually makes sense. And when you need something, you can grab the labeled bin instead of wrestling with a torn bag. The real advantage here is vertical storage. You're using the same footprint, but getting multiple layers of storage out of it, which is incredibly valuable on a tiny patio or balcony. The lids also help keep the contents contained and protected from everyday moisture and pests. But there's one thing you absolutely don't want to do: leave cheap plastic bins baking in direct sunlight all year. In extremely hot climates, constant UV exposure can make some plastics brittle over time, so keep your bins somewhere shaded, covered, or indoors whenever possible. And now we're getting to hack number 7, the one that might save you more storage space than anything else on this list. Hack number 7, modular garden tool system. This might be the smartest space-saving idea on the entire list, especially if you're gardening from a balcony, patio, or tiny raised bed setup. Instead of storing a separate full-length rake, cultivator, shovel, and other tools, look for a modular garden tool system where one handle works with several interchangeable heads. You store the handle once, then keep the smaller tool heads together in a bucket or container. When you need to rake, attach the rake head. Need to loosen soil? Swap it for the cultivator. Need to dig? Grab the shovel head. You're getting several functions without needing several bulky tools taking up your already limited storage space. And for small space gardening, that difference is huge. One handle and a handful of compact heads can replace an entire collection of oversized tools. It's especially useful when your garden is mostly containers, grow bags, window boxes, or small raised beds because you don't necessarily need heavy-duty equipment. But that's also the limitation. These lightweight systems aren't designed to replace a serious full-size garden tool when you're digging through dense clay or tackling heavy outdoor work. Think of this as your small garden multi-tool, not your replacement for a shovel in a giant backyard. And once you've got the bulky tools under control, we're going after something even smaller, those gardening gloves that somehow disappear into every storage bin you own. Hack number 8. Shower curtain ring glove hangers. If your gardening gloves are always ending up in one giant muddy pile, here's a ridiculously simple fix. Shower curtain rings. Grab a handful from Dollar Tree, clip them onto a rod, hook, or existing rail, and slide each pair of gloves through its own ring. Suddenly, instead of 5 pairs of gloves becoming one tangled mess at the bottom of a bucket, every pair has its own little spot. You can see exactly what you have, grab the pair you need, and put them straight back when you're finished. But there's another reason I love this hack, especially if you live somewhere humid or rainy. Hanging your gloves allows air to circulate around them, so they can dry properly instead of sitting damp inside a closed container and developing that unmistakable musty smell. It's a tiny change, but it can make your gardening supplies feel dramatically cleaner and more organized. Just keep in mind that very thick winter gloves may be too bulky for lightweight shower rings, so use this system mainly for regular gardening gloves. Now, if you're tired of carrying your tools back and forth every time you move around your patio, hack number 9 is about to put your entire gardening station on wheels. Hack number 9, rolling mobile potting station. If you've got a small patio or balcony, you already know how annoying it is to make 5 trips just to bring out a pair of gloves, your trowel, some soil, scissors, and a watering can. So why keep walking back and forth? Put your gardening supplies on wheels. Grab a small rolling cart from Dollar Tree, or turn a sturdy plastic crate into a simple mobile storage station by adding suitable caster wheels underneath. Load it with the tools and supplies you use most, and suddenly your entire little gardening setup can follow you around the patio. You're planting in one corner, roll it over, moving to the other side, take everything with you in one trip. The biggest advantage is that it doesn't just organize your supplies, it makes your entire gardening routine easier. At the end of the day, instead of putting 20 individual things away, you can simply roll the station back into its storage spot. For a small space gardener, that's a serious time saver, but if your patio is exposed to strong winds, especially on a rooftop or coastal balcony, be careful with lightweight carts. A tall load can turn into a sail and tip the whole thing over, so keep heavier items low and avoid overloading it. And for our final hack, we're taking organization one step further. Instead of organizing everything you own at once, we're organizing your garden by season. Hack number 10. Seasonal rotation bin system. And here's the final hack, and honestly, this is less about buying one clever item and more about changing the way you store everything. Grab 2 or 3 lidded Dollar Tree storage bins and give each one a clear seasonal label: spring, summer, fall, winter. Then put the supplies you actually need for that season in the easiest to reach bin. Everything else gets packed away until you need it. Think about it. In summer, your everyday bin might hold plant ties, gardening gloves, watering accessories, shade cloth, and pest control supplies. When the weather starts changing, you swap things around. Frost cloth, plant covers, pruning tools, or cold weather supplies move to the front, while your summer-only items go into storage. And here's why this works so well in a small space. You're not trying to store your entire garden in your active living area all year. You're only keeping what you actually need within reach. Everything else gets contained, labeled, and moved out of the way. This is especially useful if you live somewhere with obvious seasons, places like Canada, the northern United States, the UK, or northern Europe. But if you live somewhere warm year-round, you don't necessarily need 3 bins. You might only need a simple now and later system. The one disadvantage? You have to actually label the bins. Trust me, you don't want to put everything away in November and then spend 3 hours opening every container in February trying to find one frost cloth. But once everything is labeled, your tiny garden storage area can feel completely different, less like a pile of supplies and more like an actual system. And that's $10 tree organization hacks, but let's put them all together and see just how much chaos we actually eliminated. So that's $10 tree organization hacks, from over-the-door tool stations and spice jar seed storage to modular garden tools and a full seasonal rotation system. None of these require a big budget, a huge shed, or a perfectly designed garden space. They work because they make better use of the space you already have, and honestly, that's what small space gardening is all about, not having more room but making every inch work a little harder. The best part is that you don't need to do all 10. Pick 2 or 3 that solve your biggest problems, and you'll be amazed at how much calmer and easier your gardening routine feels. No more searching for lost gloves, digging through piles of seed packets, or wondering where you left your pruning shears for the 3rd time this week. Now I want to hear from you. What's the biggest organization problem in your garden right now? Is it tools, seeds, soil bags, gloves, or just not having enough space? Tell me in the comments because I read every single one, and your ideas genuinely help shape future videos in this Dollar Tree series. If this video gave you a few ideas, hit like so more small space gardeners can find it, and subscribe to Garden Heaven if you're enjoying this Dollar Tree series. We've still got plenty more clever, affordable hacks coming your way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.